Hey everybody, that's Bust with Busted Strategies number 36, doing another Innistrad draft. I've washed away the salt from the previous video, ready for some battle. Y'all are here, turning the video on. I'm sure you're ready for some battle as well. Let's get to it. No salt today, the queue's ready. Everybody's going to push this button on the first try. It's going to happen. It was just one of those days. It's good to get that out of the way and be ready to go here. So let's see, what do we got? Mask of Gristlebrand, not really the type of rare I'm looking to start with, so we can move away from it. We can continue on our theme of just drafting Festival Crashers every single run and take the Sunrise Cavalry, but I think we'll let that go as well. Here I'm just looking at the Ambitious Farmhand. This is a fantastic quality unit. Plays very well in literally every white deck. The front side is good, being a reasonably statted unit that draws a card. The flip side is fantastic. Just nothing but positive things to say about the farmhand. So happy enough to take it. Not too much interesting in terms of what may wheel. I mean, we do have to take note of the Sunrise Cavalry, right? We're taking a white card and we have a gold card in the least played faction, and so if we do need to kind of keep in mind that maybe maybe we are going to be trying to crash some festivals again in this video here. But I would think realistically we would be looking at something like the Party Captain maybe tabling, if the Eccentric Farmer tabled or the Baytook Angler tabled. I wouldn't be surprised. The pack was a little a little on the weak side to think that those may come back, but it's not a big deal if they don't. Okay, interesting set here. Opponent to our right took an uncommon. They took it over Ludovic, which is not super surprising, but he is quite good, right? We typically talk about the strength of something like Blade Stitch Scab in the terms that it comes down early, shuts down a lot of boards just being a 2/3, and then has some upside to it with this ability. Ludovic just kind of really pops off with that same kind of theme, being able to be good early and then flip and be pretty good late. But this is tough. It's like I really kind of like want to stick with the farmhand. I don't even think Ludovic or the Scab are better than the farmhand. So I'm just going to go with the Dawnheart Wardens in this pack. It's a little bit more high risk, high reward than taking the Candlegrove Witch, but I have been pretty happy with the Wardens when these decks pay off. Oh man, we're just jumping in. We're jumping in onto the Festival Crashers. I'm gonna take this Angel Fire Ignition here. We just have like a lot of things pushing us towards this, right? If we do hit that the Boros card at pick 9, that's going to be huge. And the Angel Fire Ignition is just some of the biggest payoff you can have for playing in Boros. It just plays ridiculously well with the Festival Crashers, giving it the counters and the vigilance and the trample and the lifelink. Just humongous collection of stats coming out of this. And I mean, it's not unrealistic to think one of these red cards might come back to us. Like ideally, it would be a Festival Crasher, maybe a Voltairean Ambusher. I'm okay with any of that. In terms of green-white, if we don't want to just go all in on the Angel Fire Ignition, we're just taking a duel for dominance. And so I don't feel like we're really missing out on too much to come in here and take a risk with that one pack. And so we'll see. We'll see if it comes back around. We don't have anything to really support the Boros deck here. There is a Burn the Accursed, but I'm just kind of like this Angel Fire Ignition isn't like an oh shit yeah we're drafting Boros today. There's some high roll potential wheeling around on these cards, and I want to be prepared for it if it happens. But for these, I'm just going to pick up the Contortionist Troop. Plays. This is one of the higher powered Coven cards. Anytime the board stalls and you just get to put these counters out and about, it's quite good. It's good early, it's good late, just kind of everything we're looking for in a unit. Otherwise, the next pick would be the Harvest-Tide Sentry out of this pack. Okay, well, the green-white hits continue. I worry that this is, unfortunately, as much as we hyped it up, this is probably not going to be a Boros draft. The Dawnheart Mentor is one of the premier commons, or one of the premier uncommons out of the Coven deck. Just being able to, have a 2-drop on the second turn. Imagine Ambitious Farmhand was a Candle Guide Witch, or imagine it was a Harvest-Tide Sentry. and you want to hit the Coven on the third turn, the Dawnhart Mentor lets us do that. And so it's good early, good late. Really supports supports the theme we're going for here. All right, so a fairly weak pack. I'm just going to go with the Broodweaver. It's okay. You know, it's a reasonably statted bro. Gives some card advantage. There's some formats to where I would be like, oh man, different kitty. All the kitties are showing up today. There's some formats where we would be like absolutely stoked to have a giant spider with upside, but this one I'm just kind of whelmed by it. Not over, not under, just whelmed by the Broodweaver. Okay. Well, I think we have to take to defend the Celestis here. It's like I know that the potential is here for all of these like Festival Crasher decks, but I think we're kind of locked into green white. At least we would be looking to say like play green red, and green red doesn't play well at the Festival Crasher, and so a little unfortunate to take the defend the Celestis. It's a little more expensive than I like to pay for, and I prefer to have these late game plays be coming out of the likes of something like Dawnhart Mentor or Contortionist Troop, but it is what it is. I'm sorry, Festival Crasher. It's what the people want, but the people don't always get what they want. All right. What are we doing here? The big problem with our deck at this point in time is our curve is pretty bad. We do need to really focus on our 2-drop space from this point forward, but our 3s are looking pretty good. I'm just going to go with the Homestead Courage in this one. Our 3s are already, pretty reasonably stacked up with our 2 copies. The Morning Patrol's fairly weak, and a lot of these decks really love having a Homestead Courage. Okay, we can't hate too hard, right? That the Boros cards didn't wheel. I am going to pick up the Dawnhart Rejuvenator here. Like we have this Angel Fire Ignition, which we may still end up playing, and then if we come across the likes of a big, like Gruul rare or a big Boros rare, or even if we just pick up like a midnight lightning bolt, we might have some opportunities to play these expensive cards or play these 3 colors. Here, I'm just going to take the Might of the Old Ways over the Tireless Hauler. I do prefer the Hauler as our late game bro of choice, but I want to make sure that we have enough interactivity here with this deck. If we knew the Might was coming next, I would have just taken another. I would have taken the big boy. And then with this, we need to fill out our 2-drop space. Pestilent Wolf is something that I look to be a little bit too defensive, but it's better than not having enough 2-drops. So we'll add him to the stack for the moment. I prefer Howl of the Hunt over Blessed Defiance. We've picked up the 2 tricks at this point, so we probably won't need to play the Howl. But I've certainly ended up with green-white decks that would want to be playing it. All right. Well, this pack not that exciting. There's the only green playable would be the Rejuvenator and the Might of the Old Ways. The only white playable is Blessed Defiance. If we're looking to splash in these other colors, like the Sunrise Cavalry is just not going to do it. I think this is the classic. Let's just take the rare kind of space in the Florian. Gross. All right, collect me 20 gems, I guess. Gross. All right, so let's move the Ignition out. Get this stacked up the way I like it. We'll get our spell out here. The troop is expensive. The spell over here. Where does that leave us? Might of the Old Ways is in the spell pile. Okay, just 2 2s, 3 3s. We need to work on our early game here a bit. But I'm happy enough to just come in and pick up another Dawnhart Mentor. I don't think we could play a Sacred Fire. I mean, because I don't really want to be playing these like Dawnhart Rejuvenators and Jack-o'-lanterns just for the sake of playing some lower valued cards. Like if we pick up like another Angel Fire Ignition or something, then by all means I'm gonna jump in on the splash. I mean, we could technically even move out of white at this space. I guess that's something we should have considered more in in the previous pick, is if we end up pushing out of white. I mean, our white cards are extremely strong in the Farmhand and the Dawnhart Wardens, but we do have to like stop and assess, hey, we don't have to be a white deck here. There's not a whole lot of white cards actually going on. But we're going to get more Dawnhart Wardens. This is the epitome of everything we want in a pack. We want the Candlegrove Witch. We want the Sentry. Not opposed to playing Party Captain. We got the green removal spell and Duel for Dominance. It is all here, but the Dawnhart Wardens are too on point with what we're trying to do. maybe we'll get a wheel out of that pack. That would be super, super nice if we could wheel like a Harvest-Tide Sentry, because the green seems to be really rolling around. I would be pretty pumped about that. All right. So here's a Sentry. We have to dive in on these at this point. We only have 2/2 drops. We need to get this up to at a minimum 6, ideally up around 8 or so. And so we got some work to do in the early game. Flare of Faith is better than Might of the Old Ways, but we can't be taking cards like that at this point. And Morning Patrol, we don't really want any more 3 drops in our deck at this point. Like, we'll play another one if it's high quality, like the Wardens or the Mentor, but these kind of fillery 3 drops, I'm not super interested in at this point. All right, well, looking like a party captain here. Let's do stuff like pull this Rejuvenator out, put the party captain in. Kind of happy with how that looks. Should be relatively aggressive in our early game here. Okay, beautiful, beautiful. Don't like leaving home without a Gavany Trapper. It's, realistically our only removal spell at this point. We only have Might of the Old Ways. We haven't picked up any Duel for Dominance or Oblivion Rings or anything. So welcome addition to the squad. He's also, pretty good at helping us hit Covens, having the 0 attack. All right, well, Pestilent Wolf it is. A pretty weak set of cards, but we gotta pick up more 2-drops. This is where we land on a Flare of Faith. Nothing too interesting for us in that pack. Another relatively weak set. We'll pick up the Rejuvenator. I don't plan on playing these. We could. I mean, we maybe we need to start viewing ourselves as being more of a mid-rangey kind of deck. In terms of, we don't have this ultra aggressive early game. We do have decent later plays and things like Dawnhard Mentor, and we do have quite a bit of board stall with the Rejuvenator. So maybe it's a world where we look to play a little bit slower. Maybe we'd even look to play the Angel Fire Ignition and just stall the game out for a while. But we'll see. I mean, we have good late game in the Mentor. We did pick up another Harvest-Tide Sentry though, which is a pretty big deal. And more Flare Faiths. Rather have the Flare Faiths than the Might of the Old Ways. Okay. All right, well, this isn't the world for a Candle Guide. Let's take the green. If we have these Dawnhard Rejuvenators, we're never playing Candle Guides. All right, well, there is some big red rares in here, but we can't be looking to splash double red cards. It's a little unfortunate. This pack is just another turd of an open for us. I think we're just stuck with the Gavany Silversmith. And just no green cards. The only white cards being the Silversmith and the Party Captain. And then if it was like a single colored red or a green red or a red white gold card, we could go for it. I mean, we have the 2 Rejuvenators, but it's not where we're at here today. Okay, so I'm not a huge fan of Rise of the Ants. It's okay. I really prefer to be in blue-green if I'm going to play Rise of the Ants. It's a little easier to cast if we have a Blinking Eyes, have the opportunity to just mill it and maybe play it in the super late game. Just turn 6 is pretty late in the game for just these pair of 3/3s. So I'm not real interested in that. I think we can pick up the Burly Breaker here. I would rather play Burly Breakers than Candlelit Cavalries, so I think he's going to be a reasonable addition. And not looking to play 3 Flare Faiths, but we might be able to wheel one of those there. Okay, need the Candlegrove Witch. It plays, super strong with both Dawnhard Wardens and Dawnhard Mentor. I think it plays, a little bit better than the Harvest-Tide Sentry, but the Sentry is still strong enough to want. Okay, so, what are we realistically going to be doing here in terms of mana? We have an Evolving Wilds we can pick up. We have the Rejuvenators that we can reasonably play Rejuvenators over Broodweaver, and try and get a splash for Angel Fire Ignition. I don't hate it. This card is incredibly powerful. Just runs away with tons and tons of games. I think I'm okay with this idea. Let's add in the Evolving Wilds. We already have 1 Homestead Courage. We're just missing out on a wolf. I think that's pretty good. Candlegrove Witch is a very easy take. Okay. Well, I'm on board with how some of those went. Do we ever play like the Homestead Courages, the Morning Patrols? I don't think we do. If it comes down to playing one of them, I probably want to just make sure that we have another creature in our 3-drop space here. Candlegrove Witch, take that back. Give me that Homestead Courage now if we're really gonna stack up to 3 witches. Oh man. Oh my gosh, we got 4? That was unexpected. I would love to have an additional Homestead Courage now, just really pound in on the aggression. I thought we were moving the way of being slow, but I mean, having all these Candlegrove Witches with the Dawnheart Wardens and the Gavanese Silversmiths and the Contortionist troops and the Homestead Courages of this world, man, get him in there. let's do that aggro thing we're always talking about. Put this Bramble on it. Why not? Let's slam in a Bramble armor, put it on a Candlegrove Witch. I mean, I'm not gonna. I always wonder if I haven't like evaluated something like Bramble armor well enough. Um, it could be quite strong on the likes of this big Candlegrove Witch deck, just making 4-attack flyers, kind of like fixing some of our covens, right? If we say have a draw where we have 2 Candlegrove Witches and a Dawnheart Wardens, make one of the 2s a 4, and then have all of our flyers coming in. Like I could see some cases to where it's not horrible. Take the uncommon. We're not going to play Bounding Wolf in this deck. Super late startle. Dang. All right. Well, we got a... Oh, the Homestead Courage wield. Beautiful, beautiful. I like it. All the Homestead Courages. Let's take the Jack-o'-lantern here, though. I don't think I'll actually play 3. I do love me a Homestead Courage, but I still have this, like, inkling in the back of my head that I want to play the Angel Fire Ignition. And it makes it a little easy. I mean, the Jack-o'-lantern cycles. We have these Dawnheart Rejuvenators. Very interesting. So with these... All right. How do we want to look at this? It's like... I guess the first topic I want to say is I'm planning on playing 17 land today. I've really kind of been struggling with mana issues over the past few trials, and I want to see how I feel just jumping back to 17, especially in a deck here to where we're like really going to be pushing our curve low. I want to see how this plays out. And so the things that we can kind of look at here. We have this package of Jack-o'-lantern, Angel Fire Ignition, and all these Dawnheart Rejuvenators. I don't really intend to chase that down, but it is possible that that's something we want to do. Let me get this organized a little bit better otherwise. So we have, as we're running out of space on our screen here, to the right of the lands is the spells I want to play. The spells I don't really want to play will be the next pile, and then this last pile is, hey, are we going to go... are we going to go all in on this kind of idea of playing the single red card? I'm not feeling particularly good about it, but we might. So we're getting like the good core of our deck over here to the left. The party captain probably wants to stay. The Broodweaver probably does not. In this style of deck, I mean, I really prefer to play things like Burly Breakers, but I think this might be the world where we would want a Candlelit Cavalry. If we're going to be like really aggressive with our flyers and the Candleheart Witches and our evasive units like the Sentry, I could see us wanting to close out the game with the trample on the Candlelit Cavalry as opposed to the bigger stat line on the Demolisher. And so we'll see. We need to roll ourselves back to those cards and see what things look like. Okay, so these are the cards here on the left that I think I definitely want to play. It's a pretty good core of creatures, right? We got 1, 6, 7, 8 in the early plays, 12 with our 3s, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 creatures is a reasonable number, and our curve looks pretty good. And so we'll come back to the likes of some of these creatures over here in the don't necessarily want pile, just kind of see where that gets us. I think our deck is good enough to not want to play the single Angel Fire Ignition. I kind of like the idea of it. I just don't think we need to do it here. Also really helps with our early game mana to take that out. The Flare Faiths we're definitely playing. The Homestead Courages we're definitely playing. And then I do believe I definitely want to play Defend the Celestas. We don't have any removal spells, and so we need to make up for it with our combat tricks here. So I think that's okay. Then we need to get 6 more cards out of our deck. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 2 more of these cards out here to the right can come in. I'm kind of leaning towards one more of these just kind of expensive burrows, something in the mid to the late game. Probably just want it to be a burly breaker. Like the Contortionist Troop can fit in like anywhere in our curve. He doesn't necessarily have to be an expensive burrow. And so I think the breaker probably something we're reasonably happy to have. That let me cancel out the rest of these units. The only other kind of idea was, what if we say like played Morning Patrol? Morning Patrol is a very good target for Homestead Courage. Just this like 3/4 vigilance unit is extremely tough for a lot of decks to deal with. And so I could look to do that. I feel like all we're missing out on otherwise would be some amount of these like Might of the Old Ways or Howl of the Hunts. And we already have like 3 combat tricks, right? I feel like that's going to have to be enough between the Flare Faith, the Defend the Celestist, and, you know, kind of the like pseudo combat trick and Homestead Courage, getting the surprise damage in there. I think that's okay. Could look to take out. I guess it's going to come down to, would we rather play like a Might of the Old Ways over Burly Breaker? And maybe I am okay with this. I think I do want to get the additional spell in here. Has the potential for some card advantage. Just our interactivity blows here, right? we have reasonable enough dudes all across the board. It's just our interactive elements aren't that good, and so I think, like, as I think on it more, like Morning Patrol's growing on me. This plays like well with the Courage. It plays well with the Wardens. It plays well with the Silversmith, and so I'm glad that that's here. And I think if this would be kind of like a Demacia deck in Expedition, as to where we're just trying to win on the basis of our stats. Like we're going to have more stats than our opponents have. That makes me like these combat tricks a little bit more, because you're usually pretty straightforward in your shenanigans, right? It's like you have to play the Silversmith pre-combat or the Courage pre-combat. It gives you some like options, especially in a deck where we don't have removal. So yeah, I like it. I like it. For Demacia, I saw those patch notes in Runeterra that came out yesterday. Enjoy that. Have fun with that in Expedition. The highlights that I saw were like a bit the lines of For Demacia, the Demacian Sergeant being one of the incredibly stronger cards in Expedition for the longest time. Like I kind of felt like for a long time the strength in Demacia kind of rode on how many buckets he was in. He got yanked from all of the buckets to where he was, I think, just hanging out in like 1 or 2 of them. And then on 211, they added him back into like 3 or 4 different buckets. And now they made him just a 3/4 for no reason. Well, I guess for a constructed reason. For Expedition reason, the dude is just ridiculous now. Same bonus. They made the extremely good dragon thing at 3/5. Have fun trying to deal with that shit in Expedition. I'm curious if they dropped the appearance bonuses off of the buckets, and if that like Malefic Descent Shyvana is still just going to be super easy to find now that she has access to all those additional cards. They also just went and boosted all the invokes. The Daybreak Nightfall invoke, the Moon Dreamer got a boost up to like 6 health. Interesting updates. Anyways, we'll try to keep Runeterra out of here for the rest of the day. We'll get back in here, play some Magical the Gathering cards, and yeah, reasonable enough start. We don't have any of our Covened 2-drops, right? But I don't think we can be passing on a hand this strong. We can get a Contortionist Troop going on turn 3, and so that's probably what I'm going to be. Oh no, we can't. We can't. I just kind of saw that we could play like the Troop and the Mentor and have 2 units on board, but doesn't exactly work how we want. Give me that Plains. It's black-red, and so you might need to come in and try and deal with this farmhand. The lifesteal aspect of that can be incredibly brutal for black-red to deal with. And I'm not going to block here. He can get his bonus. There is 2 damage in. I really want to get these bonuses from the Contortionist Troop happening. So we're not at a dire place of losing health here. And we do have an interesting decision for the next turn, though, in terms of do we want to play both Candlegrove Witch and Contortionist Troop? Because that lets us have the 2/2 Candlegrove Witch, the 1/1 Contortionist Troop, and then we can put down a counter at the end of the turn. And I'm kind of okay with it. We do need to like watch ourselves a little bit here in terms of losing our units to these Neonates rushes, but I think this is okay. Like I've changed my mind. I want to play a 3/3 Contortionist Troop and put a counter on the Mentor. It's just his turn is too good if he's able to Neonates rush off our units here. And I'm not quite willing to risk the Mentor just yet. I want to kind of ensure that we have 3 units on the board. And so if he has, a Defense Trade or a Midnight Lightning Bolt or something to take us down to 2, then fine. But I think we can still play a bit of a value game here. That's worrisome, though. We're getting a little bit low on health. He has a ton of cards in hand. Things like this make me a little scared. But I think next turn is where we'll start blocking the Strangler with the Mentor. Just not a lot we can do about it. He may not have a play here. He's been highlighting this Neonate's Rush out of his hand. Curious what that means. Interesting. Interesting. All right, so how do we feel? The card that we would ultimately be worried about here would be the Stolen Vitality to give something +3, 1, and trample. But I don't think I want to line up this Mentor to get a kill onto the Strangler. I think we're fine to keep it at 0 attack and then put the Mentor in front. And so if he attacks with both units, we get a block with the Mentor, we get a block with the Cavalry. I think he would probably just want to take down our Cavalry here, but I think at the end of the day, we're going to see like a Stolen Vitality, and we're not going to be too upset about the outcome. The thing that would suck here is if he had a Lunar Rush, whatever the thing is that that gives. I'm losing it. The X spell. Came to me. It came to me in the end. The X spell is what we couldn't figure out. Okay, so kind of same deal as before. I want to keep our Mentor on 0. I think we can look to push up the troop, but my ultimate worry is that they have like a removal spell for this. But I feel like if they had a removal for the troop, they probably would have just played it at this point. He's been distributing a bunch of counters. Again, don't want to kill the Strangler. If he wants to spend a combat trick to win against the Mentor, it's okay. And otherwise, there's a pretty good chance it just bounces. It's slightly unfortunate timing for him now that we've got so much mana on the board. Maybe we should just kind of like let this through. We can fall down a bit, but it's like we're getting so far ahead on board and they have so many cards in hand. I don't want to really risk this position. I think we're just going to have to like start slamming dudes into combat. All right, it's tough for him to add anything to the board now. Seems like they just have a hand of like weird combat tricks. Like I could see this being like a burn heavy hand, and he feels like he doesn't want to spend his burn because he's getting close to finishing the game. But like, does he? Is he? The question you have to ask yourself here a lot with these base red decks is, can I win the game if I play a Midnight Lightning Bolt onto Candlegrove Witch? Like this just feels like these turns to where you're really trying to build up that big collection of burn, but you're starting to fall behind, so you need you need to spend the burn on board. Okay, I'm gonna go with the. Do we want to go with the Candlegrove Witch on this one? I think it's safe. Like, we're gonna block the Socialite with the 1/1 and the 2/3. And so if like something goes wrong with that combat, it lets us keep a Coven for next turn. Is kind of my idea with boosting the Witch. We could also look to finally just like block this Vengeful Strangler, but I think we're healthy enough to take 2. I'll look to block it next turn. And I think we just have like a bunch of wins here, right? If we pick up Flare of Faith for 3 damage, say he blocks a troop and a morning patrol, we can still get in for 9. It's a dangerous 9, but we can do it. Looks like he wants to play an Eaten Alive or something along those lines. I have to imagine if he had Eaten Alive, you would have had to just drawn it, right? You'd Eaten Alive away the Vengeful Strangler and try and take down 2 units. Oh. Did we just win? Yeah, we just won. These interlopers can't block. Right? We were 1 short without the defend. I'm just gonna. We just stack it on the Candlegrove Witch, right? The only card he could play here would be the Shock. And so this way, even if he shocks a 2/2 down, we get in for the full damage, and he can't shock away our tokens. Okay. Mark it a win. Mark it a win. 1-0 FTP bust. Sign it. Turn it into the judge. I haven't got to make that glorious walk in years where you take your match slip up to the thing, drop it in. God, that's been ages since I've got to do that glorious walk. Okay, so what do we got going here? Yeah, it looks good enough to me. We'll call that a keeper. Do we have doubles? We have double green, right? There is a world where we want to play like 2 white cards in the same turn. So we could potentially want to get a Plains off the Evolving Wilds, but the only double green we have is Defend the Celestis. So I think we probably want to just grab a Plains here. Right, say it's turn 3 and we want to play Candlegrove Witch and a Homestead Courage. That's what our curve, reasonably looks like here. We play a Witch on 2, on turn 3 we play another Witch and a Homestead Courage. So I think we should get a Plains with the Evolving Wild. Opponent mulligan looks like they're deciding on their 6. Okay. Well, I think we just wait. We can party captain here. We like only get in for like the 1 more point of damage, And having like one of these units get bounced or Geist waved after we put a counter on it kind of sucks. So I think that was safe. Now we can do things here like add a sentry and then double Homestead Courage our Candlegrove Witch to hit the Coven. I think I like this. All right, we got a 2, a 3, and then a 4. And then if he has bounce or whatever, you know, we can still do stuff next turn. We can threaten the trades onto the Dawn Guard, which I like. Our sentry is looking pretty good here. And then next turn we can play a 1/1 Contortionist Troop if we need to. It feels like we're looking pretty strong here. Okay, so this is just like a Revenge of the Drowned every time, right? Oh, we picked up the Flare of Faith. Boy. Well, he's letting us Coven. Interesting. Is his hand really that weird? He's gonna have a Flare of Faith or something here. Let's wait until they do it. Make sure this didn't tap our green. I wasn't paying enough attention, so let's cancel. Add the Witch. Then we can take the more aggressive route here in the Sentry, I think. We could add the Contortionist Troop. Right, as a 1/1, and then put a counter on our party captain, but I think the Sentry's safe. Not tons of cards that blue-white can play to interact with that positively. Cool. Victory, it's ours. Okay, 2 wins under our belt. So yeah, I was curious. I was thinking more on our plight from yesterday and wondering at what point, you know, I'm curious how it goes in terms of should we be happy with 4/3s given the level of competition we're playing, or are things, you know, kind of like if that's kind of the average, you know, a 3/3, a 4/3, and then you kind of got to just balance out your 7-0s with your you know, your 0 and 1 winners or something. But it's like you're not playing against total dum-dums up here at Mythic and Diamond at this stage. And so I assume everyone in Diamond at this stage just hits Mythic if they continue to play. And so curious, I'm not super sure how it works in Arena. I'm pretty sure it's similar to Hearthstone and the like, but you can't keep hands like this. If we had 3 land and just like one more thing, I think I would be okay with it, but our deck can do so much better than that. This will work. So who do we get rid of? Probably the Trapper. He does... We don't... It's close, right? The problem with the Trapper is that... you know, it's going to take forever to actually utilize, but the upside of the Trapper is that it helps us hit Covens in this hand where we have double Candlegrove Witch, Contortionist Troop. If we want to, say, play Trapper, Farmhand, Contortionist Troop, it's not that hard to pull off. I think we'd send back the Candlegrove Witch. Can we? Right, because we're going to have a 1 and a 2, but then we like really pop off if we hit our 3rd land. Oh, we got to hit 2 land for the Troop. We're getting 1 off of the Farmhand, though. But then if we say don't hit, and we just have... I think we get rid of a Candlegrove Witch. Okay. That's a close. That's an interesting hand as to what you mulligan away. Okay, well, we're gonna hit everything. We're gonna hit our covens. We're gonna be able to use the troop if we want. Against blue-green, this contortionist troop should be pretty good. Blue-green, I mean, the only actual removal spell they have would be like a clear shot or a duel for dominance. They tend to really struggle against the likes of contortionist troop and flipped ambitious farmhands. So he's not like ramping up stats right now. Like, you know, he can't play a turn 3 Shadow Beast sighting without an unblinking eye. Makes me feel decent about what's happening here. You're gonna play a card? Are you gonna ninjutsu a dude onto the board? All right, are we gonna run ourselves into a combat trick here, or is he just looking to play a bounce spell? Shenanigans are certainly afoot here. Okay. You got it. Yeah, boy, these things are annoying. Double check what you do. When you cast an instant or sorcery, make a zombie. And if you have 3 zombies, well, I guess if you have 3 tokens, you can flip it. And if you flip it, your zombies basically lose decay and get bigger. Okay. Okay, but now, I mean, we should be able to start doing stuff the blue-green isn't happy with. We should be in a counter every turn from Contortionist Troop. We can tap their best dude with Gavany Trapper. We're about to threaten a Dawnheart Mentor. Just they don't have a ton of ways. They have to have, like, kind of similar to us, where they have to have combat tricks to really do things. Oh, Jesus. Did that even do anything? Oh, he's okay. He's still got all those abilities. You do not have an answer to this Poppet Stitcher. I don't know how positive or negative it is, but he can. The frog will turn into a textless 3/3 a couple turns from now. But we picked up Defend the Celestis against this board. We can attempt to pop off with it if he tries to come in here and start blocking stuff. He technically has good blocks if he does the Larder Zombie, the Bait Hook Angler, and the Shipwreck Sifter. I think this is fine. We just need to get him up to 6 to kill everything. 3, 4, 5, 6, and he's only dealing 4 back. Okay. Those 2 bump you up to a 6. Does this work at the beginning of your upkeep? Okay, I'm gonna say he can make another copy of the Poppet Stitcher and just make tons and tons of zombies. We gotta win this game fast. Not exactly, not exactly a combo I was looking. I shouldn't say I was looking forward to running into. It's something I wasn't expecting to run into. All right, we probably need to get in with our flyers here. So let's put a counter on the witch. I'd assume. I mean, our kind of saving grace here is time, right? If he wants to counterpart copy the Poppet Stitcher, then he's not going to get a real unit until next turn. We're threatening a shitload of damage here, so he may have to actually just like block with one of his Stitchers if that's his play. Right? This is just instant or sorcery. It's not card out of your graveyard. When you cast an instant or sorcery, make a 2/2 zombie decay. Then at the beginning of your upkeep, control a bunch of things. You can transform it into the factory. Okay. Kind of gross. But interesting, he tapped our Contortionist Troop and not our Candlegrove Witch. Oh. I guess he's going to flash it back, though. That's probably going to do us in. Yep. Ooh, that's pretty brutal. That was a really sick top deck. We just dead next turn. We're going to have a couple of additional blockers. We get 2 down with the Mentor. Put down the Sentry. I don't think he can lethal us, so we may have some potential to win next turn. Might need to draw a land. It's like, no matter where we put the counters, our Trapper can't block. Our 1/1's not going to kill anything. I'm just going to put it on the Candlegrove Witch. Is that 5 tokens? Is that what that says? So 5 zombies. If he brings everything, he's not going to lethal us. Unless he just drew another combat trick. Right, because we can take 3, so we only need to block 3 tokens. The Mentor is a free block. And so then we should just be able to crush through and kill if that's his angle. His Croakling counterpart in hand will make 2 units. Or no, is this just a 4/4? Right, this loses all of its text. So that'll just make 1. So at this stage, you can either play the Angler or play the counterpart. Okay. We've gotten out of worse with less, am I right? So he's bringing all the zombie tokens. If he drew a counter combat trick, then fine, you got us. So if we can like realistically assume will happen next turn is he plays Baytook Angler here. So he's going to have a unit. He's going to be able to prevent one of our 6s. He can technically stop both of our 6s because he has this 4/4. And so then if he can do that, can we still win this turn? It depends on if we draw a land. Right? If we draw a land and we can use the Dawnhart Mentor, then we're a lot safer. That's an easy one. That's the easy one. Now the question comes down to, do we... oh, is that just 3? Oh. Okay, well, I'm not blocking with my center then. That does make it a little easier. And if he just drew a combat trick, then congrats. Alright, we fall to 2. So right, next, let's say he just plays the bait hook angler. Next turn we attack with everything. That's where we're going to fall a little bit short. We can tap 1, but if we have to tap something, we can't use the mentor. So he makes a mentor of his own. Sure. So right, we can't win this turn. Let me double check, but I'm pretty sure that is the sitch we're in. If he attack with everything, he has to block the troop, but we can only come in for 9 damage. But piece number 2 to that equation is he has to block. So he's going to block the troop with he's going to do it with his 4/4. I think what dude's trying to line up here is he's going to unflip the Poppet Factory next turn, and then he's going to try and kill us with the Dawnheart Mentor that he just copied, right? So I think what we need to look to do is, if we tap this one, then he has to block. I think this is where we're at. We have to tap this thing. These two need to attack now. Problem number 2 is we need to try and play both the party captain and the morning patrol. So this is going to make us... We can't do both. I think we can't afford to attack with all 3, though. He'll just kill us on the crackback. And we're just gonna get lethal this way. Trying to think if we should have just played to the Flare of Faith. We wouldn't have had the mana for that, though. Damn. Maybe you'll do something dumb. It's always an option. Always an option. That is a brutal combo to have to deal with, am I right? Sure. Poppet Factory plus the Croaking counterpart to give yourself just a million tokens? That's insane. I wish we had sweet combos like that. Alrighty, on to the next one. Wonder if we missed some aggression in there. We took some interesting early lines there. We could have maybe gotten some more damages in if we lined those up a little differently. But nonetheless, good game. Good game. I'm curious because I think, well, I mean, we could have, again, it all came down to that mulligan, I guess, as to what collection of cards to keep. And I do kind of like the collection that we kept, getting rid of the Candlegrove Witch. But I think that's what it came down to. I mean, our board would have been okay if we had kept, if we'd cycled away the Trapper, right? We would have had to have been less aggressive with our farmhand, but then we had the potential to, like, if we don't draw the 4th land, our hand is really weak. So, but I mean, yeah, I mean, just needed the 4th land by the 4th turn. He had a bunch of draws at it. Interesting. Same deal. I'm gonna get the planes off of the Evolving Wilds. Might find ourselves with a Homestead Courage and want to give it a boost. Alright, to the skies, Candlegrove Witch. Alright, Brodio, here comes the aggression. That can't block. I just did the mathematics on Vengeful Strangler. That guy can't block. Double check. Can't block. Eaten alive. Oh, you're a lame-o, dude. What a lame-o. Not tons we can do here. We want to lead with the farmhand. Oh, I don't think that really gets us anywhere. We're not going to attack with the token here. Do we ever sacrifice stuff off that isn't the Candlegrove Witch? I don't think we can take that route. We still have reasonable stuff to do on board here. So I think we want to play the most expensive one here. I'm still trying to like line up this turn to where we play a card and Flare of Faith. We leave ourselves like susceptible for a turn. This is fine. By playing this now, I think that's okay. And as I say, if we like draw a land here, it lets us get aggressive with this ambitious farmhand. In terms of flipping it. I feel like he's gonna be up to more shenanigans, but this is okay. We got him like really well ground out of cards. We need to start doing something fast though. Hopefully a safe turn for Candlelit Cavalry. It's kind of like, feel like if we get a big blowout with this Flare Faith, like he tries to play a removal spell and then we have the Flare Faith to protect from it, we just like automatically win the game. But oh my gosh, you're going to have the third counter? Okay. Okay. Feel much better about this game now. Sure. Sure. Do you stay a human? Yes. It appears that is the case. Okay, so you flip that way. Let's take down the unit. Now we need to, you know, get a positive, defend the Celestis, or get a good Homestead Courage in here. We still have options happening on these turns. Sludge monster's effing annoying. I thought it did this every turn. Oh, it's when it attacks it also does it. Okay. Not bad. Forest. Forest. There we go. There we go. How can we make this not look ridiculous? I think we just want to like boost our smaller units. So if we say, I think we have to make the Cathar 4/4, but then if we make our smaller one a 2/2, it doesn't look as ridiculously obvious that we're about to ace his board. Right? It's like we're just kind of trying to like offer up some trades. Like he's never blocking the Cathar, and then we're just offering up trades for our other dudes. And now we just blast him. Get our blasters ready. Make sure we can't lethal before we play this. We'd be only coming in for 9. Okay. He's got one card in hand. He's going to get to tap something, which is moderately annoying, but we have lethal if he doesn't have another spell. Say he taps our cavalry, we attack with everything, the mentor and the 2/2 get in. Got him. Whew. That felt a lot closer than it needed to be. All right, claim that prize. On to the next one. Yes. Oh, shit. Drop my water. I was just thinking, it was like as we were like climbing throughout our first month, we were like so happy that like we got to 4 wins. That was kind of like the magical spaces to where it feels like you can just kind of draft forever. So you can just get to that minus 100 gem space because you still collect the packs. Like you get the gems out of the packs at this point, in addition to everything else that you draft. And it's just like as we're playing like the peak of competition in limited, we're getting upset about only getting 4 wins, and so probably all about the mindset. Here, this is most certainly a keep. All right, hydrate and begin. It's the oof. It's not the brown oof. Y'all know about the brown oof. You're aware that that card existed. I can't even remember what it did. I thought it like tapped to turn off an artifact or something. It was a horrible ass card from from the likes of Ice Age. Hang on. Brown oof. There it is. Oh, it's even gotten reprinted at some point, huh? Check this guy out. What are we looking at here, Bing? What did he do? Counter an artifact ability requiring an activation cost. Nice. One for one. I thought he cost 2. High quality card right there. The highest of quality. Oh, don't exit OBS. No. Alright, back to it. So, yeah, I mean, reasonable curve. We can add our farmhand next turn. We have the Flare Faith back up for whatever our blockers are trying to come down and do. Looks good to me. We'll tap the double white. Maybe we'll get to play the planes that we draw off of this. Good chance that this just gets popped by the likes of a flip the switch. But I can say, even if that happens, we can still play the planes, play the trapper. We have the Coven now, and we still get a big attack in. So, I mean, not as choice as having the dude hit the board, but really strong board we've got here. We just got to win fast, right? We only have 2 cards left, and one of them's a land. Uh-oh. Interesting timing on this, because now we get to tap his blocker and get in for a ton of damage. Nice. Alright, well there's a Coven, but we're going to need a little bit more time to try and get a kill. But both of our units are pretty scary, right? I mean, if we have the potential to tap, like right now, none of his units can block either of our units, but, you know, the Harvest-Tide Sentry is pretty tough for a deck like this to block. His pseudo-flying. Alright, we got our 4 wins. We should be happy, right? Much happy. Let's just end it here and say happy. Good job. Good job, squad. We did it. Yeah, the tilt monster can be hard to chase off. I'm usually pretty good about it, but I'm susceptible to it as anyone. Yeah, that yesterday's magic, it's still just infiltrating my brain. I've said we're over it so many times, but alright, it's official, we're over it. Let's talk about like cats, fantasy football. the finer things in life. Here we go. It's Odan Malero. Yeah, I mean, reasonable enough. I mean, these be much more nice on the play, but I don't think we can ever get rid of a hand where we have attacking Candlegrove Witch on the 3rd turn, and then some backup to follow up with it. All the Vengeful Stranglers out here today. This is like our 3rd opponent playing Vengeful Strangler. The fuck is this? Oh, jeez. When dude enters the battlefield or another non-token human you control dies, you lose a life, create a token. So he's at 19. Pay 2, human gets a lifelink. Okay? And at the end step, if you have 13, you can pay mana and flip it into some demon. Okay. Slightly scary. Not super scary, just slightly scary. It's like seems like it has to be like impossible to race. I guess it takes a ton of mana to do that. Alright, well he's tapped out, so we don't have to worry about anything here. But like, we're playing Candlegrove Witch. 1 Candlegrove Witch is happening this turn. The question is, do we want to start playing Homestead Courages to start just chunking in more damage? I mean, well, there's kind of 2 interesting things there. We could have blocked the Jaren with the Dawnhart Mentor last turn and not been real upset about it. And then I guess the new question is, do we want to keep the Flare of Faith around this turn? I don't think so. I think we just come in with the 1 Candlegrove. Boom it. Add another one. Add another one. And then go off to the races. This is when another human dies, right? Non-token human you control dies. So he has a zombie and a human rogue. Didn't realize the Strangler was a human. Interesting. That seems like a turn full of good attacks. I wonder what we're in for next turn. Okay, I think we have to hang on to our Flare of Faith. It's not ultra relevant like right here on this turn, but I feel like a lot of this might come down to protecting one of our flyers. Well, I'm going to give them all +3 attack. Well, that's pretty scary stuff. What did he even do? He played No Way Out? That's a lot of confidence coming out of him. Like when we add 2 flyers to the board and then he says, I don't need to interact with the board, I'm just going to play some spells here. That's kind of scary. I mean, he can pass out a bunch of lifelinks with Jaren and protect himself a bit. I think that's kind of what he's looking at now. He has to give, like, it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? Because he has to get the lifelink now, but I don't have to necessarily, or to get the health off the lifelinks, he has to leave himself without blockers for next turn. But then if he wants to make, the kind of the safer play of, how much is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We don't have to block any of this. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. I just don't want my mentor to die to a midnight ambush. This feels like really spewy. I'm not exactly sure what we're about to get ourselves into here. Bladebrand is fine. So there's no way for them to deal bonus damage. I guess there could be some kind of like drain card out of black I'm not immediately thinking of, but that attack felt really spewy. Cool. All of them gems. Ooh, let's see what card we get. It's a rare. That'll be more gems, right? This is Innistrad, right? This is the set that we're currently playing with. God, what do I know? Why do people even bother with this? So this guy's a fucking idiot. We'll check. We'll check once these cards come up if that's out of the current set. It was. Okay, I mean, this hand's not stellar, but if we draw any 2 or any 3 by the 3rd turn, we're feeling pretty good about that. So let's give this a keep. Not exactly sure what the the kind of the count on that is. Picked up a 2. Okay. 100% apparently. Any 2 or any 3 by the 3rd turn was a 100% chance. Let's get the Candle Grove down. She can stop this intense aggression we're facing from the Covetous Castaway. block. Okay. So this is fine. He's going to get some card quality. He's got kind of, you know, one of these like blue-black tempo draws, which I think we line up with well. Kind of, so kind of more worried about a control decky kind of draw. But nothing we can do about these. And then our new problem is like, can we hit? We can't hit a Coven here, right? We can put a counter on the Candle Grove. Yeah, we're gonna have either 2/3s or smaller units than that. I guess we could just play Harvest-Tide Sentry, but that seems pretty low value here. I want to spend a bunch of mana. So I'm going to put a counter on both the Farmhand and the Candlegrove Witch. I'm going to want to activate this Farmhand here before long. Now, I think the attack with our Witch is good. If we get, he has to block with everything. If he wants to kill off the Witch, that'll let us take down the Opportunist. This is a bit of a downside when he gets to lose his Castaway here, but I think this is okay, right? We can deal with the Covetous Castaway and having a the Might of the Old Ways in hand. The thing I'm kind of upset and unsure about are that we can't Coven next turn because we put the counter on the Farmhand. So I think we still have time for this to be okay, but that's kind of painful. We should have kept him as a 1, but it gets better after we get this Candlelit Cavalry on the board. Okay. So we can pick it up now that we have a 0. But we can't flip our Farmhand if we play the Trapper. I'm not real interested in that. Let's get the Cavalry down. It gives us good blocks onto this Digraph Horde. Then we can try and make a play next turn. We're not at risk of dying. We're at risk of getting card advantaged out of this one. We gotta win this fast. Stat. ASAP. He's doing this just to get a unit. This block should always be safe. Midnight Ambush would be the only combat tricky kind of card that would kill a unit. So I think that's safe. Now we should have good attack next turn. We can hit with the Farmhand, the Witch, and the Cavalry. Our Coven is going to be on. And then we have this Might of the Old Ways in our hand. I mean, if the extent of his turn is adding a Covetous Castaway to the board, I feel like this is pretty good for us. Right? His Covetous Castaway is a good blocker against a lot of what we're doing. Interesting. Uses the Siege Zombie. I mean, I wonder if he either has the answer to Ambitious Farmhand or is just not like worried about the damage that it represents. I mean, one hit from the Farmhand flip is just tons of health for us. Okay. I'd feel better if this Might of the Old Ways was the Flare of Faith, but this is okay. Wonder if this Calls from the Cellar and Organ Hoarder he can't cast. Okay. Here's the squad. No, we want to pay green. Might of the old ways here. Would like to draw a card. Wonder if he's gonna have like a Geist Wave. Feels like he's gonna have a spell. I don't know. Yeah, probably. I'm curious if his line was to just put the Siege Zombie in front of the Ambitious Farmhand, get us to spend the mana, and then bounce the Farmhand after the fact. Seems to be the case. We get 2 for 1 to buy the Geist Wave, but we get to keep our Cathar. Not ideal. We're really far behind in this game. I mean, it kind of is what it is. When your opponent has a unchecked Morbid Opportunist, you're going to fall behind, but you need to get more of them damages in. Not a lot going on for us now. Let's see what we draw. The Candlelit Cavalry feels a little scary. Okay. Just gonna take the 1. Yep. Alright, so I think we need to switch, like, we have the 7 mana, so we can play the Sentry, the Mentor, and then tap something on his turn. I think that's where we're at. We need the Mentor to make our attacks scary again. So the idea with this now is when it goes to their turn, we'll let them attack with it if they want. Have to kind of figure they're probably going to be adding a Covetous Castaway next turn. And that's probably what we'll end up tapping, so it's not going to be like that big of a deal as far as board control goes. But we're most certainly not tapping anything pre-combat here. I'm more than willing to take the damage from both Falcon Abomination and the Intruder. Okay. Puts Geist Wave and Siege Zombie back. I want to tap the Castigator. The intent, I mean, we need to see what we draw, but the intent is to attack with the Candlegrove Witch, the Cathar, and the Harvest Tide Sentry. But that doesn't seem like super awesome. If he blocks the like the sentry with the digraph and then puts Organ Hoarder Larder Zombie in front of the Cathar, is that actually okay with us? I think it's fine. We also have the option to say put a Homestead Courage onto our Cathar so that it's untapped to block with next turn. I think that's reasonable. So then we attack with the Candle Grove. Do we just attack with everything at that point? The silver, well, it's like we just have a silversmith and a human token. Those don't seem good. I think I like this. So the counter on the Cathar. The attack with the Witch, Cathar, and the Sentry. He knows we have the +3/+3 as an available option here, but like if he puts Organ Hoarder in front of Sentry, fine. If he puts the Digraph Horde in front of Sentry, fine. If he does Organ Hoarder, Larder Zombie in front of the Cathar, oh, it puts everything on the Cathar. It's kind of like done his thing at this point. It's gonna take us up out of reasonable combat range. Then can we lethal this turn? Can only hit for 9. So I want to take down the Digraph and the Organ Hoarder because his Larder Zombie can't block our Harvesttide Sentry. Oh my god, is he gonna have the Geist Wave? Nope, okay. Startle is pretty good here, though. Not gonna lie. Alright, so we got a ton of time now. The opponent has 5 cards in hand. Tons of good stuff. Oh, he's highlighting our mentor. I'll go ahead and let you know now that's not good. That's not good. Yep. Feels like he's done so much stuff. Can we not just deck you yet? Okay. Unfortunate. And just cards we don't care about. Okay. So let's see what happens with this attack. If he gets too greedy with the likes of this Castigator, we can just kill him. I mean, that was actually quite greedy. We're at 12. He's tapped out, right? If we have a way to deal with the Castigator, he can't block either our Sentry or our Candlegrove Witch. Okay, so where are we at? Can we attack with everything? Not really worth. He only has 2 blockers. That would only be punching in. Not really enough. I think here, let's have to boost our Candlegrove Witch and then add a unit. The stones on Life of Laughter are humongous. So what can we draw here? Defend the Celestus would be interesting. The choices, do we want to say like play Contortionist Troop? Get to boost a unit or put down the Trample unit. I don't have like much faith in the Trample unit doing a whole lot here against the Larder Zombie. I think I want to just tap out for the Troop and put a counter on the Harvesttide Sentry. +5. Do we even put it on the sentry, or do we put it on a smaller unit? I think the sentry's fine. Let's it threaten to trade with this castigator, and then we have the potentials like to still get through this. We're really just kind of like looking for a combat trick. And Gisa. That's about right, I guess. That's about right, one could say. So, like looking at this board, if that's all he attacks with, it would leave him with 1, 2, 3 at the opportunist, 4, 5, 6 blockers. He probably couldn't lethal. Do we do it? I think it probably seems a little greedy to just come in and flare a faith, but like, can we realistically win the game otherwise? Like, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blockers, and we have 1, 2, 3. Oh, we only have five dudes. That's it. We only have 5. He lethal us next turn. Do we have to get clever here? He can come into through the air for 7, and then we can block all of his ground. So I think that's okay. We want to attack with Contortionist Troop here. Lets him draw a card, which kind of sucks, but... So if we attack with the Witch, it's going to take down the Castigator. I like that. If we attack with the Contortionist Troop, I think we actually do just hit with... do we hit with everything? And then if he makes a double block, we win the game. This is one I wish I had a little bit more time on. I'm just going to assume he doesn't have any cards in hand. If he has any way to interact, then the game's just done. The question like really comes down to, are we able to put them in a space to where it's like they're... I mean, they maybe make like the double block onto our Candlegrove Witch. We get a good Flare of Faith to take down 2 units, and then we're just wider than them next turn. Just the double block. You got the trick? Got the trick? Got the thing? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. It resolved. Fuck. Alright. Damn. So yeah, I'm still not sure on that turn, right? Like, there is... It could look to be okay to, like, attack with just, like, the Flyer and the Contortionist Troop. Since we do have the Flare of Faith, and then potentially, like, just try and Flare of Faith to take 2 units down. I concede that, like, the attack with everything attack there at the end is like probably like second or third on the list of good plays that you could make. Like I'm pretty confident that attacking with everything there is not the play to make. But I kind of feel like the big problem on that board there's 2, right? He gets to draw cards with the the dude, whatever his name is, the Orzhov guy. And so if like drawing cards is kind of a unfortunate side effect of what's going to happen on that board, but like they're already so far ahead in cards, who really matters? So I guess we can discount that. The big problem is an attack with Gisa on board, and if he kills off, say, our contortionist troop, that's okay because it comes back as a 0/0. But if he kills off our Candlegrove Witch, then he gets the additional flyer back on his side of the board, and so trying to think like maybe just attacking with the contortionist troop would have been enough. Um, we still die to a lot. I think he had a siege zombie in his hand, and so maybe that. I think that's what it would have come down to, is if he had the siege zombie in his hand. I don't quite remember. I know he played one and traded it off earlier and had the thing in the raised dead, but I think he shuffled his siege zombie back into his deck. But if that was the case, then we just had to attack there, right? Because he has 7 power of flyers plus a damage off a siege zombie. And so maybe that was it. We just have to kind of hope that they have nothing and they fuck up. Like, it's not a good place to be, but I'm not exactly sure what a good attack there would have looked like. 'Cause, right, it just feels bad. Like if we attack with contortionist troop, they block with larder zombie, they get to do the cycling and then still draw a card and just lose a unit that doesn't really affect the board. That's not a very feels good. We can attack with we talked about attacking with a flyer. That kind of expands to being able to attack with the Harvest Tide Sentry, but like the Harvest Tide Sentry, if it dies, he gets it back with Gisa, and so it's a real struggle going on in that in that collection of cards. But here we'll keep this. This is an awkward hand in terms of assembling a coven, but it's strong in terms of card quality. Okay. I'm afraid we're going to get abused being on the draw here. The likes of Flare Faiths are so strong. I think I want to just go ahead and risk it. We're not going to be the aggro anytime soon. That auto passed, so it didn't even have the option. My big concern, and the way that this game goes south really fast, is if we add like the Dawnheart Wardens, and then he has the Flare Faith to take it down. I think we're a little bit safer. It auto passed, so he shouldn't have any white combat tricks in his hand. And then the Morning Patrol is relatively safe in terms of being able to attack and block here. So his play is to do nothing. We don't have any combat tricks here. Are we willing to trade the Morning Patrol for a party captain? Not really. I'd be willing to trade it for a Lunark Veteran, though. But I'm kind of looking at now, like, I just want to play the Homestead Courage. So make it a 3. I think this lets him kind of, like, freely attack now. I don't think opponent will block this. We can add the Wardens. And now we're starting to get, like, the big stat lines against what I suppose is a dude with no tricks. We got our big Vigilance bros out here. The Flare Faith. So how do we best spend our mana? I think we want to spend 4. This being like next turn, we have the potential to like Flare Faith, Dawnheart Mentor. The turn after, just maximize all the mana we get to spend every turn here. The farmhand will give us a Coven. So reasonable enough to go ahead and add it. Now, do we want to Homestead Courage as well? I kind of like it. Oh, maybe we should have put it on the silversmith so that it could block this turn. Might have been a little sloppy there. I was just getting excited about all my stats on the board. It's it's something I really enjoy. Okay, so we don't have the mana to also flip and Flare of Faith and play the Homestead Courage. So I think we just get this attack going. Why would you want me to tap all my planes to do this? Come on, game. Alright, so he might have finally gotten himself to having a trick. Oh, I guess he has the Malevolent Hermit. I didn't stop to fully consider that one. I think this is still okay. That thing's off the board. We kill his Dawn Guard. Just gained a ton of health off the Cathar. Looking good. Okay. Not a bad unit there. Not gonna lie about that one. So how greedy can we get with this? I don't like the Cathar attack this turn. We can start doing the trample stuff with it next turn. I don't... But that leaves us 1, 2, 3, 4... 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do we want to go ahead and put a counter on it, though? I think that's okay. Is that really worth? Maybe not. Don't think we need to be too greedy here. Okay, so I mean I was gonna say the thing that we have to watch out for here is we need to be able to play a card. So if we can't play a card, then he can kind of flip his Cathar. It's a little on the annoying side of things. So I'm just gonna come in with Little Guy. If he wants to block, by all means, go for it. We can add Mentor now. We should probably advertise that we have the land. Might want to play double Homestead Courage next turn. Odrix is scary. Alright, so where do we see ourselves now? I mean, we're not at risk of dying, right? We're only looking to take a handful of damage. The problem here is we can't present a lethal, but... we're gonna have a tough time killing him. It's like I kind of want to attack with everything. And then we get to like pick and choose where the thing goes, but it's probably not enough. I think we hit with the Cathar and the 2 dudes. I think that's going to be about as good as it gets. So he's going to have to put a big block on the Cathar. His blocks are much better now that he has all these 4 health units. But... So now he's going to start getting to deploy counters elsewhere. And my big worry with his board is he has this ambitious farmhand. Yeah, maybe we should have put the counter on the Cathar. But we're on the positive side of things. We're never losing a race this way. Like, we just gain infinite health. It's gonna be really tough to kill them. Between he has that ambitious farmhand of his own, and then the luminous phantom to gain a ton of health. Maybe we should have just been attacking with one unit instead of all of them. But that's how we get the party captain down now. I think that was okay. Flare Faith, interesting. Alright, so he can't play 2 spells this turn. But, like, what's the stats on his units? They're pretty big. It's like, I think I just want to come in with the party captain, but, like, what does a 6/6 party captain do? If he blocks with Odrix, I'm happy to take it down. And then if he wants to be able to kill it at a 6/6, he needs to either be doing like Odrix and a bunch of stuff. Yeah, I think this is fine. Let's go in with the party captain. I mean, we can just kind of send the Moonrager Brute back to front side. I think the way that we're ultimately going to win this game is going to be with a Flare Faith and a Trample, and he's not going to know. Oh shit, we don't have a Coven. Shit. Shit. I was worried that I knew I was going to mess that up at some point. Now he gets to Moonrage Brute something to the bottom side. Fuck. Fuck. Oh, this is so extremely bad. Okay. Can we even play Candlegrove Witch? Like how the way I kind of like envision us winning this game is like we can Candlegrove Witch, give it a bonus with the mentors. I think this might be okay. Like, I know his Cathar comes down. Yeah, he's immediately highlighting our Witch. Maybe that was a mistake. Oh, he goes for the Cathar. Nice. So we can still potentially win this one next turn. Maybe not next turn, but we got potential wins here. Alright, but can we win with him going up to 10? We just have to kill this Cathar. We don't have choices here. Could we have won? Did we mess this up again? We could have had 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, we would have been short. We have to play a spell. We don't want him getting the Moonrage Brood again. Oh my gosh, that's so annoying. We need to do it this way. We need to Dawnheart Mentor the Witch. Then we can Homestead Courage the Witch. All right, yeah, I don't know about this one. There was a lot of things we could have done differently this game, but it's like beating Brutal Cathar is incredibly challenging for us to do. He's given us a chance. Oh my gosh. Oh man. What a what a brutal outcome. I mean, if we drew like any 2-drop, we could have just won the game here, right? Because he didn't leave any flyers behind. Oh my gosh. And we can't do Coven stuff. Maybe he'll do it again. Insane. Oh, I'm gonna. I got to keep the salt pushed down. We have to look at this as him giving us opportunities to win, and not just them doing dumb shit. And so if we draw, oh my god, be luckier, dude. Oh my god. Oh, just having the flyer after just like, okay. Let's see. Draw the Evolving Wilds, anyways. Oh my gosh, that's some play right there. I mean, just leaving anything behind. It's like we very clearly any any unit with 1, 2, or 4 attack just wins the game, and it can be 2 or less cost with just what we have on board with a realistic having a land in our hand at this point. Fuck me. That's okay. Is what it is. He gave us an opportunity to win, and so our percentage to win went up. What more can you ask for than that? But nonetheless, I mean, we won the 100 gems on this one. Go us. Let's take a moment. We'll get this deck pulled up, and we'll talk about it a little bit more. Okay, so yeah, I think we've covered off on the green white deck extensively, but the kind of like things that I really like to call out in terms of the green white decks and making them successful. The real key to the deck, in my opinion, is 2 separate things. The first one is manageable, right? You're looking for this collection of both Candlegrove Witch and Harvesttide Sentry. These are your bread and butter units in this deck. They both have tons and tons of evasion. They work extremely well with each other in terms that you only need one other card to activate both of them. And given kind of the size of the units in this format, usually if you can deal with one unit, the Harvesttide Sentries get to attack forever, right? It's just, even if you look at the contents of our deck, we have a handful of dudes like that can naturally block a Harvesttide Sentry. Looks like here we have a Dawnheart Wardens and Candlelit Cavalries, and then the sentries themselves. But if you can imagine that you're like a blue white deck or a blue black deck, any of the really Esper cards, they're so heavily focused on bears that usually one combat trick is enough to find your way through the extent of their creatures. The only downside is if your combat trick isn't Flare of Faith and you have to run into like an Organ Hoarder or something, then the Harvesttide Sentry kind of drops in value. But if the collection of your combat tricks is Flare Faith and you're able to have it survive that singular combat, you tend to be able to get the Witch and the Sentry through for the remainder of the game. And so those are our core bros. That is, big thing number one. You really need to be searching out the Sentry and the farmhand. Big thing number two is you just have to have some of these premier uncommons. There's not a lot you can do about it, but I mean, with the way that you typically end up in these decks, it's not like you're starting out with Candlegrove Witches and Harvesttide Sentries. It's because you've kind of picked up a big uncommon or a big rare, and now you're kind of like circling back to the filler. And so with that, we're talking about the likes of I guess we should say the big ones for this deck would be Dawnheart Mentor and Duelcraft Master, Duelcraft Guide, Duelcraft Trainer. Nailed it. The guy that passes out Double Strike. These are kind of like the tier 1 ones in my opinion. These are the ones to where if your opponent isn't good at interacting, they can just kind of win the game for you. The slightly weaker ones would be your things like Dawnheart Mentors, your ambitious farmhands, your contortionist troops. It's not to say that these cards aren't good. It's just I feel like a Duelcraft Trainer is just going to ace you any game where it sits on the board, whereas a contortionist troop passing out counters may not win you that game. And so those are kind of like the two big things, right? And having these successful green white decks are finding your high-powered uncommons and rares, and then having your very good aggressive 2-drops. After that, it's really just a matter of making sure that you have some combat tricks because your interactivity is dog shit, and then making sure your curve is serviceable. And I think we actually covered off on all those points with this deck. A couple of those games got away from us, but I think that was mainly in terms of us just not having access to interactivity, which we may or may not have passed on a duel for dominance, but like once you move beyond duel for dominance, it doesn't really exist. And so there was like at no point today did I want a destroy a creature with 4 toughness. No point did I want a candle trap. It's really just kind of like clear shot or bust because duel for dominance is even kind of weak in these decks. We don't have, you're really kind of counting on Shadow Beast sightings to win duels, and we don't have any of those here. But nonetheless, nice deck, good deck. I like how the draft went. I think we handled this pretty well. Again, the farmhand, fantastic starting unit. The big thing to note here was the Sunrise Cavalry and the potential to table it. Otherwise, not too much going on in pack 1. I don't think there's any argument that the farmhand is the take here. Into pack 2, this is where things start to change, right? A lot of people out there would really want to pick up either Ludovic or the Scab. A lot of people still think that blue-black is the best deck in the format. I hear you. I'm just kind of at this phase. We've talked about it a little bit across some of the past few videos as to where the way that things tend to kind of go in terms of like metagames and such are, at the top of the metagame, the people that are really out there grinding ladder and everything, they're going to be up on, the current deck themes and ideas. And then that takes a couple of weeks to filter down to the masses. And so what you tend to kind of see is, kind of like the world's era information is kind of like filtering down to the masses. People have had the chances to read their articles over at Star City and Channel Fireball and whoever else publishes articles these days. And, kind of the word is out on how good Esper is and how good Organ Hoarders are and the strength of blue. And I think we're currently out here taking advantage of this in the drafts by drafting a lot of green and a lot of red. And so that is why I kind of place a premium on the Dawnhart Wardens as opposed to something like Ludovic, because I think in the current draft meta, the green and white or green and red are very draftable, and we're going to catch a lot of payoff for doing so. And so, yes, objectively, Ludovic and both Bladestick Scab are better than Dawnhart Wardens, but that's why I like to come out here and take the Wardens over the Scab and the Ludovic. And then there's a world where we do potentially table Candlegrove Witch, but more realistically, we're going to at least get a high quality card like Might of the Old Ways back. I don't want to call this a high quality card, but this is kind of like a 18 to 20 in your deck as opposed to a 23rd card. And then if you don't find any Flare Faith, this is like very top notch and required in your decks. And so I don't remember what wheeled out of this. Might of the Old Ways did it. That's exactly what we're talking about here. Pack 2, I love just taking the Angel Fire Ignition. I mean, the really, kind of top-notch thing to be doing. Again, if we're looking to kind of draft green and draft red, the Angel Fire Ignition plays fantastically and all that stuff. We even seriously considered splashing this. If we'd picked up some like Midnight Lightning Bolts or something, I think we may have been more likely to do it. But I think this is a very safe pack. We're not missing out on anything either, right? There's just a Might of the Old Ways, Duel for Dominance, Blessed Defiance. Not much in terms of green-white cards. If we want to switch into Esper, these cards are all filler. And so I think this is a very safe Angel Fire Ignition. Pack 3, Contortionist Troops, fantastic. This is, again, that kind of like tier 2 top quality uncommon. Happy enough to pick it up. The only, kind of downside here is there's not any really good white cards in this pack, but there is another realistic table. I don't, with only 3 cards left, we're probably not going to table Harvesttide Sentries, but again, Pestilent Wolf can be a required curve filler if things don't go particularly to plan. We need to fill out our 2-drop space. Pestilent Wolf is a 2-drop. I don't remember what came back out of this one. The Pestilent Wolf did. Right on point with our draft strategy here. Dawnhart Mentor, beautiful. This is one of those top tier uncommons. Very easy take for us, and it doesn't lock us into green-white at this point, but we're probably like 80-20 playing green-white from this point forward. Pretty straightforward. Broodweaver, Defend the Celestis is the only playable. There are some good red cards. Red does appear to be open, but I think green-white is looking pretty on point here. And so yeah, I don't think there was too much beyond that. I thought the opening of the draft was interesting. From that point forward, I don't think there was too much. This is kind of a low roll in pick one, pack two, pick one, pack three when there's just like nothing, right? We're just literally rare drafting in pack one, and then in pack three, you're not really excited about a Gavany Silversmith. Any of the good commons would have sufficed. Any of the bears would have sufficed over the Gavany Silversmith. But outside of some fairly weak opens, I think things went fairly according to plan. Big payoff in green white with the mentor in pick two, wardens in pack three. Kind of makes up for that pick one having to rare draft. But all in all, I think things went pretty well here. Pretty successful draft. And so happy with that. So yeah, let's claim our prizes, our plus 100 gems, our 4 packs. Probably turn into about 80 more gems as we come out here and open up the packs. Then we'll call it a day. Gems. We got here gems. Gems. It's gonna be the name of my jewelry store. Alrighty, and our last one. What do we got here? More gems, 80 gems for our hard efforts. Not bad, not bad. So yeah, that is going to do it for us today. Yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the draft. You maybe, assembled your coven a little bit better. You maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.